to you.
On March 30th, 1981, then President of the United States Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded, alongside 3 of his entourage in an attempted assassination carried out by John Hinckley Jr. A few days later, 18-year-old Jodie Foster was being heavily guarded by the state's security and attending court hearings in connection to the attempted assassination of the then president. Why? Well, that's because during interrogation, John confessed that he did it to impress and get the attention of Jodie Foster. It sounds crazy, but wait till you hear the other crazier and deadlier things people did just to get the attention of the gorgeous Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster was the child who broke her parents' marriage, as her father reportedly left when her mother became pregnant with her. So, she never knew him. But still, that might just be the reason she even got this far in the industry. Born as Alice Christian Foster in Los Angeles, California, Jodie's mother decided early that her gifted child must be an entertainer. So she started introducing Jodie and her brother to commercials and films as infants. At age 3, Jodie could already read and write, so she was ready, and they had her in her first television advertisement for Coppertone in 1965. Although her mother never intended to expose her to the industry that early, casting agents found young Jodie irresistible, and that was how she began to appear in a string of other commercials in the early 70s. Unfortunately, her proper induction into the film industry left a mark that Jodie would be taking to her grave. One of her early roles was in the 1972 adventure drama film Napoleon and Samantha. Jodie is featured as a girl who befriends a boy and his pet lion. The lion lost control on set, grabbed Jodie, and left her with terrible scars on her face. Still, this was not enough to discourage either Jodie or her mother. They kept looking for that breakthrough role, and this led to Foster appearing in a number of films, including the Western One Little Indian, Mark Twain's adaptation of Tom Sawyer, and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. A lot of actors despise the days when all they had was commercial gigs, but Jodie admitted that she doesn't regret any of it. According to her, working on commercials for 20 years taught her the best of life lessons. Foster had become a popular child actor by this time, but her mother was scared that her career would come to an end when she grew too big for child roles. So, out of desperation, she encouraged her to become a child prostitute in the 1976 Taxi Driver. This was the beginning of Jodie's fame in the industry, as the movie was a critical and commercial success. The young actress earned 2 BAFTAs and an Academy Award nomination for this role. Jodie earned another award for her portrayal of a mysterious young girl in the French thriller The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Her mother, still not satisfied that Jodie was considered adult enough, would also force her through a partially nude photo shoot. Unfortunately, the years that followed were not very green for the young actress and her desperate mother. Jodie struggled to find roles, and the ones that she was able to work with turned out as failures. One of her films, Stealing Home, was so bad that critics commented that they never knew that a movie could be that terrible. Finally, breakthrough came as a rape survivor in the 1988 Accused, and this was just about the time Jodie wanted to give up acting. Her performance earned her an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and the National Board of Review Awards. The actress followed this success with an even bigger hit in The Silence of Lambs, which grossed over $273 million. By October 1991, Jodie released her first feature film as a director, Little Man Tate, which was about a child prodigy who struggled with the reality of being different. You might also remember the actress for roles in films like Shadows and Fog, Summersby, Maverick, and Contact, among many others. Jodie was now even more successful than she had imagined, and her mother had a big smile on her face. But the next thing they needed to figure out was how to stop the attempts on Jodie's life. During her freshman year in college, Jodie caught the attention of one John Hinckley Jr., and he turned the young actress into an object of sexual obsession. He claimed that he just couldn't resist her after watching Taxi Driver. To get Jodie's attention, Hinckley attempted to assassinate former United States President Ronald Reagan. He failed, but the president and 3 other people with him were wounded. This news made rounds on the internet, and Jodie had to walk around college heavily guarded by bodyguards. While Hinckley was eventually captured and brought to justice, Jodie was still going to suffer at the hands of many more like him. On campus also, she attracted other stalkers, including a man who planned to kill her but changed his mind after seeing her in a college play. Frustrated by how her life was constantly tormented by these strangers, Foster released an essay in 1982 titled, Why me? For most of her life, Jodie had tried to avoid talking about Hinckley and the other men who tried to ruin her life. According to Jodie, she doesn't want to be remembered for these events as she was just a helpless 18-year-old caught up in an intense drama. Foster almost never forgave herself for the death of Reagan's secretary after the unfortunate encounter with John Hinckley. Unfortunately, the same troubles that Jodie had in her career were going to follow her to her relationships and the women she shared romances with. Her first love in the industry was film producer Sydney Bernard. They met on the set of Summersby, and their relationship was well protected from the knowledge of the public, until Jodie exposed it in a 2007 interview with Hollywood Reporters. The couple share 2 children, Charlie and Kit, who they still co-parent even though they are no longer together. Unlike her mother, Foster decided to shield her sons from everything Hollywood. The best they get is their occasional public appearances. They both came to support their mother in 2016 when she was honored with her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Jodie has remained tight-lipped about who the biological father of her sons is, and this has caused a lot of speculations. A popular rumor in 2013 suggested that Mel Gibson, who was already a father of 9, was the baby daddy. Other people argued that the late Hollywood producer, Randy Stone, who was very close to Jodie, is the true father. Either way, the actress has refused to comment, and so the identity of the boy's biological father remains a mystery even to this day. Not too long after she ended things with Sydney Bernard, Jodie started another romance with Cynthia Mort after they appeared together in the 2007 psychological thriller, The Brave One. The couple was private about their relationship and had a very quiet breakup a few months after they started dating. In 2014, Jodie tied the knot with her wife, photographer Alexandria Hedison, and they have enjoyed a blissful relationship ever since. Alexandria grew up in Hollywood, and she was a former actress. You might remember her face in Melrose Place and Lois and Clark. Jodie's sexual orientation has faced public scrutiny ever since publications like Outweek and The Village Voice questioned the homophobia and transphobia theme in The Silence of Lambs. They accused her of being a lesbian, and Jodie neither denied nor accepted this. She only addressed it in her popular 2013 speech at the 70th Golden Globe Award ceremony. This was enough to convince many news outlets to describe Jodie Foster as gay, although some other sources reported that she never used the words gay or lesbian in her speech. Anyway, Jodie is not letting any of that bother her, as she is just focused on raising her boys to be the best they can be. According to the actress, motherhood was the most creative thing to ever happen to her. But here was an event that almost had Jodie Foster behind bars for 4 years. Jodie Foster has had one of the most terrible experiences with drugs, from watching the people she cared about slowly slip into the dark corners of depression to finding herself getting familiar with drugs of all kinds. On December 19, 1983, Jodie was arrested and detained by U.S. Customs agents at Logan International Airport after she was found with a gram of cocaine. After much back and forth in the court, the actress was charged with a misdemeanor and placed on 1 year's probation. Unfortunately, this was not going to be the only punishment Jodie would get from drugs and alcohol. In a recent interview, Jodie revealed why she might never forgive the American film producer, Dennis Hopper. Dennis was blessed with an undeniable talent, but his addiction story is barely news in the industry. He was so immersed in drugs and alcohol that it was even rumored that he once snorted a dead woman's ashes. Jodie became his victim after they both shared the set of the 1990 Catch Fire. Not only did the film end up as a commercial failure, but the actress also reportedly had multiple clashes with the director. Her experience was so bad that she had to warn Meryl Streep to not work with him because of his anger issues. "I worked with an actor-director who was a major pain. It was very difficult for me. Very difficult," she said. An even more unfortunate event happened with the Iron Man star, Robert Downey Jr. Downey was arrested in 1996 on drug and weapon charges and was sentenced to 3 years in prison for violating his parole. This made Jodie Foster sad, as she reportedly tried to talk sense into him at the peak of his addiction. "I took him aside at one point during filming and said, 'Look, I couldn't be more grateful for what you've given in this film, but I am scared of what happens to you next,' Foster told him before his arrest. These days, Jodie Foster is taking steps backward to enjoy all that she has worked hard for in her busy days in the industry. A more recent screen appearance would be in the 2023 Netflix biopic, Nyad, and her performance was recognized with a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Jodie Foster, now 61 years old, is living her best life as a mother, an actress, and a director. She enjoys the celebrity life with her partner, Alexandria Hedison. They both live in California. The actress has an estimated net worth of $8 million. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.